York City is getting ready for its annual New Year's Eve celebration in Times Square. As we get set to ring in 2020, we're also looking back at the legacy of the 2010s, a decade of political and technological change. In the past 10 years, same-sex marriage became legal nationwide, and some states legalized recreational marijuana. We saw a return of Star Wars fever. Wait, return? That fever's been around since 1977. We saw mistakes at the Oscars.
How do you know?
Oh, I don't know, I heard. Lady Gaga's meat dress, and so much more. We asked 5 journalists and experts how they think the 2010s will be remembered.
The 2010s really was the decade where we flipped the table on the status quo.
Don't believe me, just watch.
A truly magical and revolutionary product today.
We can change the world.
We started this decade with Barack Obama.
So help you God?
So help me God. In many ways, where we're at started with Barack Obama because the American voters wanted something totally different, and it just became more and more different throughout the decade.
I came in like a wrecking ball. And we will make America great again.
When you look back at the 2010s, I don't know how you don't remember Donald Trump.
We are building a wall.
It's all a hoax.
He is a sick puppy.
He's the greatest show on earth, whether you like it or not. And 2010 was about reality TV shows.
I'm not buying a pair of shoes, I bought her a career.
Serious?
I don't give a about any of you. You're white trash.
And we ended the decade with a reality TV show.
Get her out of here.
We started the decade with an economic crisis, and we finished it with an existential crisis. Everything that happened in the 2010s was rooted in this enormously disruptive and frightening collapse of the economy.
This was the Dow's worst one-day point drop.
The Dow Jones average dropping 213 points.
It ripped apart a bunch of institutions and norms, and now we're kind of asking ourselves, what kind of a world do we want?
Stop the violence! Stop the rape!
The 2010s will be remembered as the decade when the Me Too movement went global.
You hear my voice.
It felt like all of a sudden this issue, which had a history of lack of accountability, suddenly had a new sense that there could be consequences for this kind of behavior.
Time is up. We are no longer going to be harassed.
I'm responsible for what happens here.
The moment that might have defined the arc of the 2010s in tech is Mark Zuckerberg testifying after the Cambridge Analytica scandal.
And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry.
So when we go from a moment of innovation, Amazon, Alexa,
how's traffic?
Uber, Instagram, to real reckoning about the consequences of tech.
Stop apologizing and let's make the change.
Your user agreement sucks.
What's extraordinary about some of these hashtag movements is that they weren't just in name only. People actually marched.
Love Trump's head!
People went out into the streets.
I can't breathe. Hands up. Don't shoot.
People protested, did walkouts.
When do we want it? Now!
I think about when I was first getting into politics when I was in my early teens, and I felt like as a young person, you were sort of meant to be patted on the head and isn't this nice? And I feel like now there's really a space.
The world is waking up, and change is coming whether you like it or not.
All you bad folks, you must go.
And once again, we witness history unfold. The Emmy goes to Billy Porter.
This whole decade of transformation, especially in entertainment and film, is that while we still have a very long way to go, there's so much that's promising.
Mahershala Ali became the first Muslim actor to win an Academy Award.
Kathryn Bigelow, the first woman to win Best Director.
Laverne Cox, the first openly transgender woman ever nominated for an acting Emmy.
You need some of these. I made my own couture.
Let me live that fantasy.
I don't think that you can understate the impact of seeing some of these firsts coming in entertainment. You have Ava DuVernay running her own studio, headlining movies like Crazy Rich Asians. And then you've got Black Panther. It actually moved the needle on what it meant to have a predominantly Black cast in the Marvel universe.
Wakanda forever! Wakanda forever!
Hamilton is a breathtaking body of work.
Who do you think you are? Gary Antoinette?
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say.
The decade in TV was just, explosive.
Because we can stream them whenever we want, we're able to sort of consume much more complex culture whenever we want on our own time, and it led to the creation of amazing television.
How obvious that is.
Nothing was about to happen until something happened.
Winter is coming.
My daddy, Alabama, mama, Louisiana.
This was the decade that Queen Bee, Beyonce, ascended to her throne. When you think about the album Lemonade, for example, which was all about Black pride and self-worth, her performance at Coachella was so amazing that they renamed it Baychella. She ran away with the decade heads down.
That's down the right field line into the corner.
The sports moment of the decade absolutely has to be the Washington Nationals winning the World Series.
3-2. There it is! The Washington Nationals are world champions.
I'm a huge Nationals fan, so I'm a little bit biased, but it was just a great, uplifting story at a time that America needed it more than ever before.
The whole ballpark is doing this.
Terrible song, but a great rallying cry. You still, can you do it for us now?
Isn't that it?
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now.
You know, I can't tell you what the 2020s will be defined by, but I can tell you this. We live in an era where it just feels like every bill is coming due at once. Big debates about health care.
Under Joe's plan, essentially, we retain the status quo.
That's not true.
No, it is exactly true.
About the environment, when I think basically nobody thinks that the system is really fair anymore. So it just feels like we're living not only through one reckoning, but a kind of cascade of reckonings.
I'm really excited about space exploration.
The future of space exploration is something really exciting to look forward to in the 2020s.
I really am kind of curious what's going to happen with that Tesla truck. I think it looks like something out of the Jetsons.
Well, here we go again. This is a great time to be alive, and the next decade is going to be crazy.
I want my flying car. I want my flying car.
Wow, that's everybody up in the air.
Happened.
Streets and sidewalks empty. I'm down with that.
Because you'll stay on the street.
I'll stay on the streets. Go for my
That's
strolls.
always so, oh my gosh, reflective. 10 years, the last 10 years.
Yeah, and to try to remember what stands out to you most. And we were talking about the Netflix change of everything that we talked about, obviously, in there, the way we consume media now.
You know what will stand out for me this year?
Tell me.
This, right?
Oh, yeah. See you again next year.
I know. At the same time, same place.